Is learning SEO worth it anymore? Well, here are the facts. Google is the #1 most popular website on the internet with 132 billion monthly visitors and over 8.5 billion daily searches. YouTube is the second most popular website and search engine with over 3 billion monthly searches. And ChatGPT is the fastest growing website. It uses search engines to train its AI and has launched its own native search engine, SearchGPT. The point is to ignore the clickbait about SEO being dead because the data doesn't support it. And that's why today I will give you a 10-day plan for learning the fundamentals of SEO. Whether you're brand new to SEO or a seasoned vet, this plan will work for you. My name is Nathan Gotch, and for over a decade, I've led hundreds of successful SEO campaigns. I'm also the founder of Gotch SEO Academy and Rankability and the author of The SEO Entrepreneur. So make sure you watch until the end because I'll share the #1 technique for becoming top 25% in any skill like SEO. So let's dive into day #1, which is find keywords. So keywords are the foundation of SEO, and the process can be divided into 3 parts: finding keywords, qualifying keywords, and prioritizing keywords. So here are a few easy ways to find keywords. All right, so the first technique is to go into Reddit and start searching your category very broadly. So in this case, I'm just going to use content optimization, and I'm going to look for posts that are specific to this topic that we want to ultimately build more topic authority around. And so what I'll do is I'll open up all of these different threads. Then next, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for different topics that I think I could create a dedicated SEO asset for. So as soon as I see one, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to put it over into the Google Sheet. And then just rinse and repeat for all of the topics that you think are going to help you build more topic authority. The next thing you want to do is pretend like you're going to print this thread. And instead of actually printing it, you're actually going to save it as a PDF. And once you save it as a PDF, we're going to upload this to ChatGPT, and then we're going to use the following prompt. And what it's going to do is it's going to analyze this PDF, and it's going to extract all these different content ideas out of this thread for us. Then just copy all the good ideas and put them into your Google Sheet. The next technique is to go into YouTube search and do the same exact thing. Look for content optimization or whatever your primary topic is, and then look for different ideas that are going to be relevant to what you do. The next technique is to use Answer the Public, and you can actually just use their free version, enter your topic very broadly, and you're going to see tons of content ideas. The next technique is just use ChatGPT to give you some additional ideas. Now keep in mind, ChatGPT is not necessarily the best keyword research tool, but it is a good tool for helping you brainstorm various ideas that you can go deeper on. The next technique is to actually look at your existing keyword profile. So just enter your domain into SEMrush, and then you can see all the keywords that you're currently ranking for. And typically I like to focus in on the keywords that I consider low-hanging fruit. So these are going to be keywords anywhere from position 2 to 15. These are your most important keywords, because with just a few tweaks, a few slight adjustments, you can boost these up many spots. And every spot that you go up on the first page, there's a significant increase in organic CTR. The next technique is just to search your broad keyword in SEMrush's keyword overview. And this is very similar to the previous idea because we're going to be able to see everything that's directly related to content optimization. And the final way to find keywords is to use a keyword gap analysis. So just enter your domain and then enter a few of your top SEO competitors. And then what this tool is going to do is it's going to extract all of the keywords that they're ranking for in the top 100, but you are not ranking for in the top 100. And so what we need to do is we need to begin to slowly chip away at this and slowly narrow this gap so that we can become a topic authority in our specific industry. So now it's time to filter through your keywords. All right, so now that we've found a good amount of keywords, what we need to do is start to filter through all of these keywords and be able to prioritize them. And one of the best techniques you can use is to filter based on relevance. So copy the keywords and then go into ChatGPT and use the following prompt, and then just enter your list of keywords. I don't recommend really doing any more than about 100 for this. And then once you do this, what ChatGPT is going to do is it's going to analyze these keywords and assign a relevance score. So then we can go ahead and just paste that relevance score back into the Google Sheet. And then we'll have to go ahead and review the output, because it is, I'd say it's about 75% accurate. It's gonna have a lot of inaccuracy, so you do need to kind of spot check it. But for the most part, it's gonna be pretty close. So then from there, we're gonna have this nice relevance score that's gonna be the first mechanism for filtering through a big list of keywords, okay? Because relevance is the most important thing. And when I speak of relevance, I'm speaking in terms of relevance to the core thing that we're selling or that our client is selling. And then the next column is intent. So once again, copy the keywords, paste them over in a ChatGPT with the following prompt. And what it's going to do is it's going to analyze the keywords and assign an intent. Now, keep in mind, we're just doing commercial and informational, but there are many, many different types of intent. But just for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to keep it very broad. Okay. And what you'll see, once again, I'd say 70% accurate here for the most part for categorizing intent, but we need to do a spot check to make sure it's accurate. So go ahead and spot check it, and then go ahead and assign a score based on these types of intent. And so the next technique is to assign a point value to the difficulty level. So the lower the difficulty, the higher the points. The higher the difficulty, the lower the points. And then the final filtering mechanism we can use is search volume. So once again, lower search volume gets lower points, higher search volume gets higher points. And so at the end of this, what we should have here is a total point value that we can now filter through our keywords. And if we did this the right way, what's really happening here is we're looking at keywords that kind of fall right into that sweet spot as far as relevance, intent, difficulty, and search volume. Okay, each one is going to be different, but for the most part, we're going to be able to find that group of keywords that really fits in here really nicely. So then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just highlight the rows and find the best keyword opportunities that are the closest match to the thing that we're selling. And now moving on to day number 2, which is studying the SERPs. Before you dig into the competitors, the first thing you want to do is identify any SERP features that you see. So as I'm looking at this one, I see that there are ads, I see that there is a people also ask section, and I see that there are videos. Moving on to day number 3, which is to analyze your competitors. So one of the first things I like to do is just see how well the competitors are optimized for this specific keyword phrase. And based on what I'm seeing, everyone is very, very optimized for this keyword. So there's really no gaps there as far as having a more optimized page. We're not going to be able to beat them on that front. So we're going to have to be able to beat them by looking at the content itself. So with this first one, there's an aggressive pop-up. So right away, that's an opportunity for us to make sure that we have a better experience than this page by not hitting the user with the pop-up right away. We can modify, if we're going to use pop-ups, we can change at what point and what cadence we have that pop-up come up. So it could be based on user behavior, based on them scrolling on the page. It could be based on them going to a second page. It could be based on them exiting the page. But we don't want to just hit them with a pop-up right away. We need to see some type of user engagement before we hit them with that pop-up. One thing I really like about this page is the what I like versus what I don't like sections in this content. And the reason why that's really important is because of Google's EEAT guidelines, which is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. With the experience side of this, you do want some subjective elements in your content, especially when it comes to product reviews, listicles, or content like this, because we do want to share our opinion. And this is why Google loves UGC related websites like Reddit and forums, because there's tons of people just freely sharing their opinions about particular things. So having that first person language in there is really important. Another fascinating thing about this post is that there are no affiliate links. So once again, if you're on the conspiracy side of things and thinking that if you have affiliate links, Google's going to hit you with a penalty on your content, this is a smart play because it's decreasing the risk to a certain extent. And one really interesting thing about this particular keyword is that we have 4 commercial pages. So we have SEMrush and we've got these other tools that are popping up specifically for this keyword phrase. And so this is what I would call more of blended SERPs, meaning there's a blend of informational content that's more long form in nature, and there's also more transactional types of pages that are ranking. So when you're trying to figure out the best angle, it will be, you can certainly, it just means you have options, right? You can go the informational route because clearly that's the one that's ranking number 1, or you can try to rank with a one dedicated commercial page. Both models seem to work here. And now digging into this article where once again, it's very informational in nature. It's very long, but to be totally honest, there's a lot of kind of listicle content in this SERP where nothing's really that unique, okay? Let's be honest here. Nothing's that unique. There's no clear indication that any of these websites have actually tried these tools and gotten deep into these tools and have a full understanding of the nuance of using the tools on these lists. And so for me, the opportunity that I see here is to inject a lot of real life experience in the content, like actually go and pay for all of these tools and share your experience kind of going through these tools. That's a way that you can add some nuance and some uniqueness that no one else could replicate, especially the AI wouldn't be able to do it because of that first person type of element. So this is how you should approach every single keyword that you want to rank for. You need to find the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities, and then you need to formulate a strategy that's going to help you win. And sometimes it's just a totally different angle of content, and other times it's just simply making a better mousetrap, right? We're making content that's better, has better readability, has better experience, has just overall better depth and better quality, right? You can certainly do that. Either way works, but this is what you have to do to find out ultimately what your competitors are doing well and what they're not doing well. So at the end of the day, you can exploit it. So you now know the quality of content you're competing with. Now it's time for day number 4 to identify gaps. First things first, let's start with the keyword gap. So you just go right into SEMrush, go into the keyword gap tool, enter your domain and your competitors' domains, and then just go ahead and copy how many keywords your competitors have, and then obviously enter how many keywords you have, and then just put that into the Google Sheet. And you can do this for one competitor, you can do this up to 5, you could do it for 10 if you wanted, but I would just do at least your top 2 to 5 competitors. Next thing, we're gonna go and do the link gap analysis. So just go to the backlink gap analysis tool in SEMrush, do the same exact analysis, and we're gonna go ahead and see what we're up against, and then go ahead and go to the backlink analytics to get a true raw amount of referring domains for each competitor, and then just enter that into the Google Sheet. And then the next part is to get the review gap. So this will vary depending on the type of business that you have, but in the case of SaaS, you're gonna go and look at some of the popular SaaS related directories and see what reviews the competitors have. If you're on the local level, you'd probably be looking at the Google Business Profile reviews. Next thing you want to do is just enter your competitor's domain into SEMrush, then go to organic research and look at their branded search volume. Now, this is not 100% accurate, but at least can give you a ballpark idea of where your competitors are. And keep in mind, they're going to have a lot of different variants for their branded searches. So it's not always just going to be Ahrefs. It might also be Ahrefs Site Explorer. But if you can just get a ballpark rough idea of what that looks like. So as you can tell, Ahrefs has a massive amount of branded searches every single month. And so what you want to do is be able to compare yourself to these competitors. And keep in mind, we're not trying to narrow these gaps today. This is like climbing Mount Everest. So you should be looking at the biggest of big competitors, and that should be your goal, right? And even if you don't achieve that full goal, let's say you get 50% of the way there, you're still doing really, really well. So what we want to do is look at our top competitors, our best competitors that seem so far out of reach, and look to them, because that should be our goal. And then the last thing you're gonna do is open up all of their branded profiles and start to get a cumulative audience size. Don't just look at one channel, look at their total audience size. So in the case of Ahrefs, we're looking at YouTube and X and LinkedIn, we're looking at everything. And their audience size is over 1 million at this point, okay? So once again, we're looking at these gaps, and this gives us raw numbers that we can actually set our targets for. Now, keep in mind, it's not like your competitors are just gonna stop today and they're gonna stop accumulating more numbers here, but we can at least get a good idea of a target that we can aim for. Now it's time to move on to day number 5, which is to map out your aspirational site architecture. So there are many different ways to map out your site architecture, but one of the things I like to do is I like to visually see what each cluster is going to look like. So what you're looking at here is for a campaign about fire protection services for a company in Houston. And what I did here is I clustered out each of the most critical sections of this local website. Now, the funny thing is I didn't come up with this on my own. I didn't invent these ideas. I actually just ran their primary keyword through Rankability's Content Optimizer, and then I looked at all of the NLP recommendations, because these NLP recommendations are closely related topics to this core topic. So I know that they're highly relevant. Okay. So there's really two things you want to do with these topics here is, number one, obviously you want to cover these topics on the page itself for fire protection services. But each of these topics is going to require its own dedicated page because it has different intent. So like fire suppression systems and fire extinguisher services, that's a much more specific type of query compared to just Fire Protection Services Houston. So what you want to do is go through and start to kind of sort out all of these different topics into their own dedicated cluster. So you can see here on the left-hand side, I have all the service related clusters, and these would all be specific to Houston. So it'd be fire extinguisher services in Houston. The same over here, this is looking more at the types of people that might invest in fire protection services. So we might have fire protection services for business owners in Houston. Okay. Another one here is things related to systems. Okay. So there's fire protection services and there's fire protection systems. That's a whole dedicated cluster as well. Another little section here about the fire protection industry. Another section here about inspections, which is also different than systems and services. And then another section here about equipment. And finally, another section here that's specifically about the type of facility that they might service. So it might be fire protection for healthcare facilities in Houston. Okay. So these are all the different clusters. And it really is helpful to see this kind of visually, because it will help you map out what that aspirational site architecture is going to look like. For day 6, you'll build your SEO content production workflow. So I found that the easiest way to manage the production of SEO content is using a Kanban board, which is basically what you're looking at here, just these columns that you use to kind of visualize the flow of this production. So the way that I personally do and the way my team has been doing it for many, many years is we will have one column for the stuff that's upcoming, one column for the stuff that's currently being worked on, and one column for the stuff that we've actually finished. We've tried over the years using many different columns and many different techniques, but we just found the simplest thing here is using the rule of 3, which is 3 columns to kind of map out this workflow. Now within each of these though, you're going to see that this starts to get a lot more granular. So at a high level, very simple. But at a more production level, things do get a lot more specific. So let's say SEO affiliate programs is the keyword you want to go after. So we're going to go over here, we're going to move it to working. Okay. This will get assigned, it will get a deadline, and there's someone that owns this project. So we're going to go in here, and once the person who's assigned to this project, who actually owns it, then what they're going to do is they're going to start to fill in some of these details. So they're going to go and get the Content Optimizer report, which they're just going to go into Rankability. They're going to go here, they're going to copy this, and this is going to be specifically for the writer. So we'll go ahead and put this in here. And then we're obviously going to need the login URL, username, and password, because once this content is done, it's going to need to get uploaded and formatted in the CMS, whatever we're using, probably WordPress. Okay. Now we're going to go down here and you're going to see now we've got the full checklist of things that need to happen. So each of these actions need to be assigned to the appropriate person. So a lot of the time, this is a combination of the SEO specialist and the copywriter and the graphic designer. Okay, so those 3 people are typically working together for the most part, and you want to just assign these to the appropriate person. So at one point here will be assign project to copywriter. Okay, so, and then this one here is write content within the Content Optimizer. So you can see this assigning is more the SEO specialist. The writing of content obviously is going to be assigned to the copywriter. So you would actually just go over here and copy this. And what we would do is we would go over to this section here and just click on this little arrow, and then we would just paste this in here. And so what would happen is if this gets assigned, let's say it just gets assigned to me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see this task, and let's say I'm the copywriter. So then all I have to do is just click on this, and then I can go right into Rankability and I can start writing that content so that it's already optimized for NLP. Okay, this is the key. This is like the most important thing is you want the NLP to already be built from the beginning. You don't want to have to go back and try to inject all of these topics. You want the content to be built with the NLP in mind from the very beginning. So we always build out really good outlines, and this is a draft here, but we always build out an outline based on the NLP, so that way the copywriter can come right in and see what the vision of that content looks like. So you should build that outline, and if you really trust your copywriter, you can have them do that. But if you want to make sure that it's going to be good from the beginning, it's going to be optimized from the beginning, then I would recommend building that outline first, whoever does it. So it's really, really important because it's going to save you a massive amount of time. You won't have to go through and figure out how to inject all these little keywords in. You won't even need to do that because the copywriter will automatically optimize the content while they're producing the copy. So there isn't like a second process that this needs to go through. Obviously, you'll do a quick spot check, make everything looks good, but for the most part, it's pretty much done. The copywriter should be able to handle all of the optimization. So this is what the production process looks like. And when you finish it, obviously I'm going to finish all of these. And once it's done, just moves over here and that's it. And just rinse and repeat. Now, one little note here, I wouldn't have a lot of projects at the same time unless you have a massive team. Like, get through your current projects and then move on to the next. I see a lot of people load up their projects and it's like, let's just finish some things first, okay, before we keep adding more layers to this. So, but this simple workflow here, you may have to add some levels to it. Like if you have a lot of clients, you may have to have a separate project for each client if it starts to get hard to organize. But for the most part, in the beginning, this is a very simple way to handle this. For day 7, you'll develop 10 SEO content briefs. So as I showed in the previous step, we want to start to create SEO content briefs for the copywriter. So even if you're going to be writing this content yourself, I still recommend going through this process. That way you're organized and that way you have this in your mind as you start to scale. Because eventually, if you want to be able to scale your SEO operation, you're going to need other people to start creating content for you. You can't create it all yourself. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to hit the critical mass that you're looking for when it comes to significant traffic gains using SEO. Okay, so one of the things that I recommend is batch creating your SEO content briefs. So the way that I do it is I'll go into Rankability and we'll just create a bunch of briefs, usually anywhere between 5 to 10, and then we have those ready and then we will batch assign those projects to a copywriter. Okay, so just a small example here, we'll look at this SEO affiliate programs one, and then like I said, this is a draft that's already built, but the way that I would start here is I would actually go to the brief section here and go to the content brief. Now, this is a very rough draft of the brief just to show you, but if you click this button, you can do the AI brief. And what it will do is it will automatically fill out some of the most important fields. That way you don't have to like go and manually do this. Okay, so you can see some of this right away. It's going to say write an article for this specifically, and the word count is specific to the optimal word count for this specific keyword phrase based on competitor analysis. Okay, and then the page URL, if this is your own website, you want to go through and modify what this is going to be. So if it's, let's say it's gotchaseo.com, we'll put that in there. And then obviously we don't want this to be capitalized. So we would just do this, right? SEO affiliate programs, or maybe we'll add the modifier best, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the title. Does this match what we wanna do? Well, we already have a title in mind, so we're gonna go back over here and we're gonna copy this one, okay? Now go back and we'll paste this in. This is our actual title that we're going for. And we'll probably do like 42025 or something like that, okay? And then, the meta description, this is just obviously generated by AI, so we could certainly go through and just clean that up. Same one for this with the H1. Once again, we'll just go over here. And the way this works in Rankability is you will get a check mark if the primary keyword is in the title tag and it's in the H1. So we want to see that the primary keyword is in all of these sections. The reason why this one is not calculating is because it's a little bit short compared to what the optimal title tag length is. Okay, so what that essentially is telling us is that we have more real estate to work with and more ability to ultimately drive more CTR. So if we took like one of the top ranking competitors like this, I bet theirs probably is significant. Yeah, so you can see that they've got a really good title tag. It's hit everything that it needs to hit because it's hit, not only has it had the primary keyword, but it also has the length, meaning that they're adding some stuff in here to increase the CTR potential, the click-through rate potential. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and revert that back. And then the next thing is here's once we've got the brief created, then we're actually going to go over to the outline sections. You click on the outline. And once again, you can build this yourself. This is actually getting a huge facelift. Hopefully be ready in the next, I'm hoping the next month or two, but this is going to be like insane, the outline builder. But right now it's still good, but it's going to be even better here coming up soon. But if you just click the AI outline, this will automatically scrape the top competitors and build an outline based on the top competitors. Okay. And so it's a good place to start. I don't recommend like just using this exactly, but at least it's going to give you a good structure to work with, right? You can see the general structure of what a type of piece of content looks like for this, right? And we want to find ways to differentiate and make it our own, but this just gives you a good, a good thing to work with. Okay. And then from there, if you there's also the people also ask section over here too. So you could always include this in the content as well. All right. And then the optimizer, this is, like I said, this is already a draft that's built out, but if you click the content brief, you can see all that work that we already did here is in here. And the outlines in here as well. So if we wanted, we could just paste this outline in here, and that could be what we send to the copywriter. Okay. But if you click on this, and we'll go to the share option, and you'll see what this looks like when it's all done. Okay, so we've got the little overview section, which is going to show, like, give instructions to the copywriter. It's going to show everything that we're hoping to achieve with this content at a high level, and it's going to show the content outline that we're hoping to get with this content. Okay, and then if the writer wants to, they can just go right into the optimizer. They don't even have to log in, and they can start to create this content the right way. Okay, with the NLP in mind. So I highly recommend creating at least 5 to 10 of these, and then batch creation on this. It's just much easier instead of kind of just assigning one at a time. It's better to batch this out. It's much more productive. And now for day 8, you'll find backlink opportunities. All right, so one of the best link prospects that you should go for right away are listicles. So I usually always start here, because what you can do is you can find all of your competitors who are on these listicles, and you can start to, first of all, try to get on these listicles yourself. So searching best SEO affiliate programs, this could be best plumbers in St. Louis, just fill in the gaps, and you find these listicles. Then from there, once you've done that, reach out to every single one of these lists and see if you can collaborate with them to get on the list yourself. Okay, we need to be on these lists. The next technique is to look for local donation links. And so this is one of my favorite techniques. So just find sponsorship opportunities, and then see the ones that are actually linking out to their sponsors, and then just send a quick outreach email and say, hey, I was wondering how much of an investment it is to put our company on this sponsor's page. And they will respond typically within 24 hours and tell you how much it is. Sometimes it can be as low as $25. Other times, this might sound crazy, but we've had people quote us $30,000. So it's really quite the range. But the point is that you just send the outreach email, start to collect the data and start to see, because then based on your budget, you can start to make those investments. And these are some of the best and most untapped backlinks that you can get. And then another technique is an old one, but still a really powerful one, which is becoming a contributor on other blogs in your industry. So just go ahead and use this search string here, and you're gonna be able to find tons of opportunities to become a contributor on these websites. So essentially, you're creating content for them, and in exchange, you can promote your website via a backlink, okay? And so that's what we're doing, and you can use ChatGPT to find tons of different search strings for finding guest posts and contributor opportunities. And then in addition to your kind of manual outreach efforts or manual link building techniques, you should also consider, once your budget is freed up, to make an investment in outsourcing some of your link building. So a company like Search Intelligence can be really useful for this. And what they do is they do digital PR. And honestly, the reason why you would make an investment with Search Intelligence or any company like this is because they already know what they're doing. So you're just eliminating that learning curve, and they're doing all that hard work for you. And plus, you're just tapping into their existing systems. They already know how to land these super high powered links through digital PR. So that's the advantage that you're getting when you actually have the budget to invest in a service like this. And they use a bunch of techniques. They use reactive PR, where they're actually responding to the latest news. They're also doing expert commentary. So let's say they would act on my behalf, and they would go and answer questions about SEO, and then I would get a link. And then finally, they'll actually create some data-driven pieces of content and then promote those to journalists. So they're doing all of this heavy lifting for you. So there's a lot of value in making these investments in a service like this. So I'll have a link below the video if you're interested. On day 9, you'll brainstorm at least 25 link bait ideas. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna use ChatGPT to be our starting point, to give us some unique ideas to kind of double down on. So what I would do is go into ChatGPT and just use a very simple prompt like this, and make sure you include the fact that we're looking for data-driven ideas and free tools. These are really the 2 best types of link bait. And I've got over 100 different link bait techniques I show inside Gotcha SEO Academy, but a lot of them do revolve around data-driven ideas or free tools, okay? This is like by far the most powerful technique you can use. So as you can tell, ChatGPT right away just gives some really, really awesome ideas for data-driven link bait, for free tool ideas, and of course some educational and interactive ideas. So these would be more kind of like how-to content or listicle type of content. And that can be effective for link building as well. It's not my favorite, like how-to content and more informational long form isn't the best for link acquisition, but it still can be effective, okay? So just as a quick example here, just to build out one of these free tools, we can actually use ChatGPT to create the code for us. So you can see here, I just went ahead and created this little simple prompt. And what it will do is it created the Python code for us. And if we wanted to go through and do this ourselves, we would just keep asking follow-up questions to get clarification on how we can actually execute this. And this brings me to the most important part of this video. If you want to learn SEO or any skill fast, you need to understand the idea of just-in-time learning. It's the opposite of how we learn in school. In school, we just use just-in-case learning, meaning we learn stuff that we may or may not actually use, but it's in our heads just in case. Just-in-time learning is different. Instead of learning to learn, you only seek out new information when you hit a roadblock during action taking. In short, when you do something, you remember it way better. So if you take away anything from this video, please understand that the fastest way to learn is to take action. Spend 80% of your time doing the work and only 20% of your time studying. You already know enough to get started with SEO right now, but if you want to become an SEO expert faster, apply for Gotcha SEO Academy.